NHL Historic Draft Simulation number 4. In this episode, I will have a major makeover of the rosters and then simulate 3 seasons using the rosters. For the Scramble Draft, every team has to give up their second and third best player and make them eligible for a draft. The draft order is determined by a random number generator. NHL Historic Scramble Draft 4. LA Kings draft Nicholas Lidstrom and Guy Lafleur. Hartford Whalers draft Martin Brodeur and Ron Francis. Chicago Blackhawks draft Doug Harvey and Gilbert Perreault. Philadelphia Flyers draft Ted Lindsay and Peter Stastny. Edmonton Oilers draft Luc Robitaille and Dennis Potvin. New Jersey Devils draft Pierre Turgeon and Jerome McGinley. Dallas Stars draft Johnny Busick and Al McGinnis. Montreal Canadiens draft Paul Coffey and Jacques Plante. Toronto Maple Leafs draft Howie Morenz and Teemu Selanne. Pittsburgh Penguins draft Stan Mikita and Pavel Bure. New York Islanders draft Yari Curry and Pavel Bure. Winnipeg Jets draft Patrick Kane and Dave Andreychuk. St. Louis Blues draft Brian Leetch and Eric Lindros. Vancouver Canucks draft Larry Murphy and Steven Stamkos. Buffalo Sabres draft Adam Oates and Johnny Bauer. Washington Capitals draft Daniel Alfredsson and Joe Nieuwendyk. Colorado Avalanche draft Leon Draisaitl and Theo Fleury. Detroit Red Wings draft Brad Park and Taylor Hall. Boston Bruins draft Pat LaFontaine and Austin Matthews. Calgary Flames draft Anze Kopitar and Drew Doughty. New York Rangers draft Pavel Datsyuk and Bernie Geoffrion. After the draft, 2 major trades are made. Calgary Flames trade Steve Thomas, Kent Nelson, and Bill Durham to the New York Rangers for Andy Bathgate, Wendell Clark, and Thomas Boku. LA Kings trade Gary Unger, Charlie Conacher, and Kevin Stevens to the Colorado Avalanche for Joe Mullen, Slava Kozlov, and Ryan O'Reilly. The changes made in the draft will have a major effect on the upcoming simulation. In first place in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Colorado Avalanche, followed by the Winnipeg Jets, Dallas Stars, Calgary Flames, St. Louis Blues, Edmonton Oilers, Vancouver Canucks, and Chicago Blackhawks. Missing the playoffs in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Edmonton Oilers and Vancouver Canucks. In first place in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Hartford Whalers, followed by the New Jersey Devils, New York Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins, Washington Capitals, Buffalo Sabres, Montreal Canadiens, and Philadelphia Flyers. Missing the playoffs in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Toronto Maple Leafs, New York Rangers, and Boston Bruins. The Pittsburgh Penguins win the Stanley Cup in 6 games over the Calgary Flames. After the season, a few trades are made. Boston Bruins trade Marcel Dion and Sweetie Schreiner to the Winnipeg Jets for Daryl Sittler and Ilya Kovalchuk. Detroit Red Wings trade Mark Recchi and Red Kelly to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Sergei Gonchar and Peter Bondra. LA Kings trade Paul Reinhart, Mike Richards, and Owen Nolan to the Calgary Flames for Henry Richard, Kalle Janssen, and Sergei Makarov. New York Rangers trade Bill Gadsby, Adam Graves, and Yuri Lehtinen to the Vancouver Canucks for Ed Jovanovski, Justin Williams, and Cliff Ronning. Toronto Maple Leafs trade Gabriel Landeskog, George Armstrong, and Jake Muzzin to the Chicago Blackhawks for Danny Heatley, Bill Hay, and Bruce Driver. The changes made in the offseason will have a major effect on the next simulation. In first place in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Winnipeg Jets, followed by the Colorado Avalanche, Calgary Flames, Dallas Stars, Detroit Red Wings, Chicago Blackhawks, LA Kings, and Edmonton Oilers. Missing the playoffs in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Vancouver Canucks and St. Louis Blues. In first place in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Pittsburgh Penguins, followed by the Washington Capitals, Hartford Whalers, New York Islanders, New Jersey Devils, Buffalo Sabres, Boston Bruins, and Philadelphia Flyers. Missing the playoffs in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, and New York Rangers. The Hartford Whalers win the Stanley Cup in 6 games over the Colorado Avalanche. After the season, a couple trades are made. Montreal Canadiens trade Vincent Lecavalier, Tyler Seguin, and Curtis Joseph to the Vancouver Canucks for Lanny McDonald, Ray Whitney, and Mika Kiprusoff. New York Rangers trade Michel Goulet, Evgeny Kuznetsov, and Kent Nelson to the Philadelphia Flyers for Ted Lindsay, Rick McLeish, and Ziggy Palffy. St. Louis Blues trade Rick Middleton, Quinn Hughes, and Sid Howe to the Buffalo Sabres for Cam Neely, Dean Prentice, and Miro Heiskanen. Toronto Maple Leafs trade Doug Gilmour, Bernie Perrant, and Steve Shutt to the Edmonton Oilers for Ron Hextall, Bernie Nichols, and Doug Bentley. Vancouver Canucks trade PK Subban, Eric Stahl, and Joe Pavelski to the Boston Bruins for Austin Matthews, Reggie Leach, and Rob Ramage. The changes made in the offseason have a major effect on Season 3. In first place in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Colorado Avalanche, followed by the Calgary Flames, Winnipeg Jets, LA Kings, Detroit Red Wings, Dallas Stars, Chicago Blackhawks, and St. Louis Blues. Missing the playoffs in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Detroit Red Wings and LA Kings. In first place in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Hartford Whalers, followed by the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Maple Leafs, New York Islanders, Washington Capitals, Boston Bruins, Philadelphia Flyers, and New Jersey Devils. Missing the playoffs in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Montreal Canadiens, New York Rangers, and Buffalo Sabres. The LA Kings win the Stanley Cup in 6 games over the Hartford Whalers. In the next episode of this simulation, I will simulate in another 3 seasons using these rosters.